It began with an onion. I used to live in Chicago until July, and my parents live in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and so they used to drive to visit me. And when they would drive, they would bring everything that my mom thought was relevant. That could include a single hair tie, a 2-year-old CVS receipt for toothpaste, a sock. You get the idea. They'd also bring everything they were going to eat while they were going to be with us, and then anything that my mother thought she might go bad in her refrigerator while they were visiting. So they'd arrive, and there would be this procession of bags into the kitchen. And once they got settled, we'd have to go through every single item that was going to enter my refrigerator. My husband and I call this grocery show and tell. It's good. So she's like, Panera leftovers, half a kefir bottle, a single strawberry. And I'm like, all right. And we go through it all. We're sitting at the table. Everybody's settled. And she goes, oh, there's one more thing I have to ask you, which is not true, because she actually needs to ask me a million more things, but I'll play along. And she goes, oh, she reaches into her purse and pulls out a single red onion and says, and I'm like, oh, she says, do you want this? And I'm like, why do you have an onion that you don't want to eat? And you bought that? And she goes, no, Lisa did. Now, Lisa's my little sister, and Lisa lives in New Jersey. And we're in Chicago. And I'm like, Mom, did you actually bring an onion from New Jersey to Michigan to Chicago to ask me if I wanted it? And she goes, yeah, I wasn't going to throw it away. Dad and I won't eat it. And I look at Dad, and he's not going to eat it. He actually isn't interested in any of this because they've been married for 50 years, and none of this is new, and so he's just sitting there, okay with it. And I'm like, I don't want the onion. Okay, so the next day, I go into the kitchen, and I find my mother elbow deep in the garbage disposal. And I'm like, oh my God, are you okay? And apparently, my father had cut up strawberries for his cereal, which he does every morning, and she does not approve of the way he trimmed them. So she is in the garbage disposal, pulling them out one by one, retrimming them, eating what she's trimmed, and then setting the stems aside. And I'm like, oh my God, Mom? And she just looks at me and goes, you and your father. Apparently, we share the gene for subpar berry trimming. My dad, of course, again, doesn't bat an eye, takes the scolding like a champ. He just has like the longest, slowest fuse until he doesn't. So I go tell my husband, I just found my mom in the garbage disposal. And I'm walking back to the kitchen, and something in their room catches my eye, and it's a pile of dirty tissues on the floor next to the garbage can. And I'm like, okay, Mom, what's the story with the tissues? Can we throw them away? And she goes, oh, I'm taking them home. And I'm like, you're taking your dirty tissues home to Michigan? And she's like, yeah, I'm going to compost them. And I'm like, all right, sweet, go for it. My dad, again, no problems with this, not yet. Okay, so I'm back in the kitchen a couple hours later, and I notice that a bag has shown up on the countertop so that we can compost. Now, I was composting in Chicago. I'm all about composting. Pedal people, I do it here. I was doing it there. My husband doesn't like it because he doesn't like rotting food on the countertop. I get it. I tried to keep it outside. A squirrel got it. I stopped. But my mother's in town, and she needs this, so we're doing it. She needs to supervise the cleanup of all meals, which means that we dutifully bring our offering of dirty dishes to her so that she may correctly scrape them into the compost and then take 1/4 of a paper towel and wipe any remaining oil or sauce from everything before my father is finally permitted to wash them. Now, he inevitably screws something up. She gets irritated and, yells, get out of here, just give it to me. So, and he takes the scolding like a champ and silently leaves. So, fast forward, it's time for them to leave, and now we have to do grocery show and tell in reverse. And here come the questions. Jenny, What about the almond milk? Do you want it? No. What about the lactate milk? No. What about the half of a bagel your daughter didn't eat last night? No. Teaspoon of mayonnaise? No. A single pea? No. I'm trying to keep my cool. I love my mother. I get that this is important. But you know who isn't keeping his cool all of a sudden? My father. I'm starting to see something. He's starting to get agitated, and he's starting to pace, and he's starting to tap his legs, and he's checking his watch, and he's like, can we go? Can we please go? We need to go. And I'm like, oh my God, he's having a reaction. But grocery show and tell cannot be abbreviated, so we're seeing this through. So we're in the home stretch, and I think we're both gonna make it. And then she hits us with the hammer. She goes, Jenny, what about the compost? And I'm like, I'll just take it down the street to where the farm picks it up. And she goes, or we could just take it home with us. And before I can say, Mom, do you really want a box of rotting food in your car for 4 hours? My dad loses it and goes, no, 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 we are not driving the garbage back to Michigan. Slams the door. And you know what? They did.